Jai Hind students, you are welcome to live session of English, and today we are going to study chapter number 4 from Vistas on the Face of It by Susan Hill. And this is one act play, and so first of all we are going to study the main points of this chapter, and for this I am going to share the PPT, and we are going to discuss the main points first, so that whole story means whole play can be clear to you, and then we will study the text. So please wait a minute, I am going to share the PPT, and we will discuss the main point of it. Now see the student, chapter number 4 on the face of it, and this is from our supplementary book Vistas, and as I told that this is a one act play, and it has been divided into 3 scenes, but first of all that we are going to see that main features of the chapter. So here are the main points that we are going to discuss. First, that is, let us know something about the author, but before that students, I want to tell you something about the play on the face of it. The play deals with the idea that appearances are generally deceptive. Appearances are generally deceptive, they are elusive, they are misleading, and on the face of it everything seems to be all right, but actually it is not so. The sense of alienation means the sense of separation gives one much more pain than any physical impairment, any physical disability. So this is the story about two people who are suffering from physical impairment, means physical disability. So let us know, children, first of all about the author Susan Hill. Susan Hill was born in Scarborough, a seaside resort on the northeast coast of Yorkshire. Her hometown was later referred to in her novel A Change for the Better and some short stories, especially in those short stories that Cockles and Muzzles. And further, she attended Scarborough Convent School, where she became very much interested in the theatre and literature. Her family left Scarborough in 1958 and moved to the city of Coventry, where her father worked in car and aircraft factories. She took A-level in English, French, History and Latin, and then got an English degree at King's College, London. Her first serious novel, Gentlemen and Ladies, was published in 1968. This was followed in quick succession by A Change for the Better, I Am the King of Castle, and The Albatross, and other stories. Now before beginning, means it is always good to know about the author. Now let us see the second point, students. That point number 2, that is introduction. And this is the introduction of the play On the Face of It. In this play On the Face of It, Susan Hill wants to convey that a physical impairment means a physical disability is always painful for everyone. Whosoever suffers from any kind of physical disability, it is always painful for them. And because of that, a person becomes pessimist and even cynical in the face of neglect by others, and its pain is often less than the sense of alienation felt by a disabled person. A person with a disability wants others to treat him normally, normally and friendly, without showing any extra concern or any extra pity. But the author Susan Hill here describes that a bond of friendship between two physically challenged persons. These two physically challenged persons, children, remember that these are the main characters. Both the characters are important. Later on we will discuss about their character sketch. And these two physically, there is a strong bond between these two physically challenged persons. One is Mr. Lamb, who is an old man who has a tin leg and he walks with a limp. And the second one is Derry, 14 years old boy, who has half burnt face due to the acid fall. Both the persons feel neglected, and however, Mr. Lamb convinces Derry that life is worth living, but Derry realizes in the end and promises to come to him again. And Mr. Lamb has a fall when Derry comes to him, that Mr. Lamb has a fall and he dies. And Derry, that who keeps his promise, is in distress to find him dead. It is, however, certain that he is going to face the world boldly, as he has accepted himself as he is, and which has been motivated by Mr. Lamb. Motivated means Mr. Lamb motivated him to face the challenges of life boldly, and he accepted it. That is proved when he goes to Mr. Lamb's garden to fulfill his promise. Now this is children about the introduction. Now let us see the next point, that is the theme of the play. The play On the Face of It deals with the idea that appearances are generally deceptive, they are elusive, they are misleading. And on the face of it means on the surface level, Mr. Lamb seems to be happy and contented person, very much satisfied person. It seems on the face of it, it seems that he does not have any problem with his disabilities. And since he has a tin leg, because one of his legs was blown off in the war, so people avoid him and children tease him, calling Lemmy Lamb. and he seems to have accepted life as it is because he is disabled person, and he had accepted the reality that he is disabled. If anybody is calling his children, call them lame lamb, he does not mind, it seems. And he encourages Derry, when he meets Derry, he encourages Derry to have a positive attitude in life. He tells him that he likes to talk people, he enjoys sitting in the sun, growing plants, flowers, reading books, and mixing with the people. But in reality, now it is important to understand, students, in reality, however, he is terribly lonely, and he does not want to show it, but actually that he is terribly lonely. And towards the end of the play, he displays signs of loneliness and disappointment. And he also longs for human company. He also wants the company of the people. And he thinks that even Jerry will not come back to him again, that shows his loneliness. And though a man with a positive outlook, he hides in him a deep sense of alienation. A deep sense of alienation means a deep sense of separation, means he tries to pretend that he is the part of the mainstream of the society. Actually, it is not so. On the face of it, everything seems to be all right, but actually, it is not so. The sense of alienation gives him much more pain than any physical impairment. And that's why it is clear that a person with a disability wants others to treat him normally without showing any extra concern or any extra pity. And he wants real encouragement to live life, his life meaningfully. And both Mr. Lamb and Derry suffer a sense of alienation, a sense of separation, we find in the end. And now let us see that the next point, the title, on the face of it. On the face of it, when we talk about the title, that it is actually it seems that it is quite appropriate and suggestive title, on the face of it, because on the face of it, Mr. Lamb seems to be very happy and satisfied person with his life. And he has a tin leg because one of his leg was blown off in the war. And that's why that people avoid him, and even children tease him, calling Lame Lamb. He seems to have accepted life as it is, means on the face of it, it seems that he had accepted the life, he had accepted his disability, and shows that he does not have any problem. And he even encourages Derry to have a positive attitude towards life. He tells him that he likes to talk to people, and for that he keeps his doors open for everyone. He enjoys sitting in the sun, growing plants and flowers, fruits, and even that he loves to read the book in open. And but in reality, he is terribly lonely, it seems, because towards the end of the first scene, he displays the sense of he displays that the signs of loneliness and disappointment. And it also seems that he desires for human company, and he thinks that even Derry will not come back to him again. And though a man with a positive outlook, he hides his he hides in him a deep sense of separation. On the face of it, everything seems to be all right, but actually, it is not so. The sense of separation, the sense of alienation from the mainstream of the society gives much more pain than any physical impairment, and that's why the title of the play, on the face of it, seems to be quite apt and logical. Now, students, the title we have seen about, because generally that sometimes that the question regarding title is asked, justify the title. So in that case, that you will have to justify that why on the face of it is a suitable title. Now let us see the next point, that is the message of the lesson, message of the play. The main message, the key message, we can say, of the play is that even a handicapped person can lead a meaningful life and can be the part of the mainstream of the society. And a person with a disability should stop cringing, should stop grieving and complaining for his disability. Rather, he should boldly accept his disability and learn to lead a normal life. And the negative attitude will only make him sad and unhappy. And also that there is also another message, that we people, that who are normal people, means we should also treat them normally. We should also treat them friendly. So this is the message which author wants to convey through this lesson. And now let us see that next point, students, here, that characters. And there are three characters actually here in the play, but what we find that those characters, basically there are two characters. Most important character here is Mr. Lamb's character. Mr. Lamb, who is an old man, and the second important character is Mr. Derry, 14 years old boy. So first of all, let us discuss about the most important character, Mr. Lamb. The third character is also there, that is Derry's mother. But these two characters are important. The first one is the most important character of the play is Mr. Lamb. And Mr. Lamb is an old and handicapped person. He has lost one leg in the war, and so he walks with the limp. And he has a 10 leg, and since he walks with a limp, children call him Lammy Lamb. And generally people avoid him, people avoid his company. Even Derry's mother has a negative opinion about him. He desires for human company and suffers from the pain of loneliness. He does not reveal it, but he actually suffers from loneliness. Now, a few of the characteristics of characteristic traits of his personality, the quality that which we find in Mr. Lamb's character. So we can also, if you will have to write the character sketch of Mr. Lamb, then you can also describe that all those points, like he is a kind and generous person. He is a kind and generous person, because that he welcomes everyone to his garden and ignores the faults and shortcomings of others. He has a big house and a big garden, and it is open for everyone. And when Derry enters his garden stealthily, he did not enter through the gates, because since gate is always open. But when Derry enters into his garden, he jumps over the wall, means he entered stealthily, secretly, and he is more concerned about his well-being. And he is another quality we find in him, that he is optimistic. His approach is positive. He is a man of positive outlook, positive attitude. In spite of his handicap, that he enjoys his life, and he believes that one should not give up hope and faith in one's capabilities. He takes interest in everything that goes on in the garden. He tells Derry that he takes interest in watching, listening, and thinking. He grows fruit trees, listens to the singing of the bees, picks the crab apples off, and in his spare time even he reads books. And so that's why, means he it seems that he does not have any problem with his disability. He keeps himself engaged in some kind of work. He is very fearless and open-minded as well. So in his generosity, he says that what's mine is everybody's. Even means whatever he has, his garden is open for everyone, and the gate of his house is always open for everyone. It does not keep a curtain on his windows. So that's why, since he lives lonely, so he says that what is mine is everybody's. And we find that he is very helpful to Derry, and he encourages to him to develop a positive outlook on life. He tells him that he should hear only those things that he wants to hear, means he motivates him a lot. And further he tells him that he ignores the unpleasant remarks of the kids. And thus he tries to convince Derry that the world is not as bad as he thinks. He is able to bring about a change in his attitude. And that in short we can say that he is a nice old man. In spite of his handicap, he finds life worth living. So this is about the first character, the most important character about that is Mr. Lamb, who motivates Derry to live life with positive attitude. And now students, we can also see the second important character, that is the Mr. Derry, means he is also, that actual name is his actual name is Derek, but mostly he is addressed in the lesson in the play as Derry. So let us see about this character, Mr. Derry. Derry, who is a young boy of 14. Remember students, he is a young boy of 14. His age, sometimes that question regarding his age, short answer type questions regarding his age can also be asked. And those students who does not those students who don't study deeply, and they are uh, mostly confused about, means he is 14 years old. Later on we will also study in the play in the text. And he has an ugly half burnt face due to acid burns, and he suffers from inferiority complex. The main problem that he is also disabled like Mr. Lamb, but he suffers from inferiority complex. He considers himself the ugliest person in the world and remains conscious of his handicap. And he feels totally hopeless and lost. And people stare at him whenever he comes out, that people look at him and avoid him. So he has begun to hate people. So even his parents show open concern and pity about him. And he does not like the members of his family because they keep on uh, showing pity on him. So it is only Mr. Lamb who himself is a disabled person. He himself has a tin leg. He gives him hope and confidence and motivates him. And Derry is drawn towards Mr. Lamb because he shows no pity or sympathy towards him. He talks him normally, he talks him friendly, and he learns from him as to how to face the world. Derry learns from Mr. Lamb how to face the world. In the beginning of the play, we find that Derry is pessimistic in his approach to life, towards life, but his meeting with Lamb proves fruitful, and when he meets Lamb, he learns that even a handicapped person like Mr. Lamb can have a meaningful life. So he is impressed with the way Mr. Lamb lives his life. So it is Mr. Lamb who tells Derry to face the world boldly, and he encourages him, he motivates him, and means he had given a very fruitful that lectures in order to convince him towards leading a happy and positive life. And we will see in the text all those examples. But at the end of the play, we find that Derry has developed an optimistic approach to life, because when he promises in the end, while he was leaving his garden, and he promises Mr. Lamb that he will come. So that finally after that, when he came to his garden, even after the great protest by his mother, he did not listen to her, and he reaches finally to the garden, and he entered this time through the gate, and that proves that he has changed his approach towards life because of the motivation of Mr. Lamb finally. And now students, in this way that we found that these are the important points which we need to study, and if we have understood all these things, it will be easier for us to understand the chapter. And I think the time is over. That's all for today. And now next day that we will start the play. We will study the lesson thoroughly next day, and we will see the explanation as well. And till then, thank you and have a nice day.